What's up, gangsters? How about a few minutes of random? Alrighty then, so I have been continuing to work on Ava, and as you can see, I've got, I guess, just about all of her colors blocked in, and these are all coated with a nice layer of MRP Super Clear Matte so that whatever I do next, if I screw it up, I can erase it without worrying about erasing what I've already done. So this was not too bad. I have to say, these guys have done a really good job of what I guess we could call design for paint. And by that I mean creating surface separations that make it easy and fun for you to get good color separations. I'm talking about, like, they paid attention to details like having a little bit of a gap behind that belt buckle so that you could get a good separation between it and her skin. There's a little groove around each of those blue lozenge looking things on each side of the belt buckle. Everywhere. The relief is just, it's heavy enough that it really helps you out. And because this is such a stylized and cartoonish figure, none of that seems out of scale or out of place. So trust me, that's been super helpful for me, given that I am clumsy and talentless. So anyway, now I guess we're going to start building in some tones, and I took a look ahead last night at the instructional video over there on my iPad, and yeah, I gotta say I'm concerned because at a minimum, yeah, I don't know. The video was plenty good enough for this. I could see the colors well enough, and where they go is really straightforward. But the next segment where he starts to talk about building volumes for the face is honestly not very good. The fact that it's in Spanish with subtitles in English does not help, but it's really done from far away, about like this maybe, which is not super helpful. And sometimes he's kind of off camera, like I can give anybody shit about that. And there's about 10 minutes of talking about volumes and stuff that's just, I don't know. What I was really hoping was something as simple as mix this tone and put it here. Because that's what you need at my level. Anyway, we'll see. But in the process of moving on, I was about to spray this stuff on there. This is a brand new bottle of MRP Super Clear Matte. I got this from Sprue Brothers, and I'm happy that this one is good. They were having some trouble there for a while where the resin in this stuff was coagulating in the bottom and turning into a gelled mass that could not be stirred up. And I talked about it a little bit, and of course there were always there's always the silly clown ass bitch. Yes, that's SCAB, my soon also to be trademarked acronym, that's gonna say, well, you just must not know how to stir your paint. It's like, really? That's what you're going with? Anyway, hopefully they've got that solved. This bottle seems to be just fine. It's so far, the other ones were like, whatever bit of it you could get stirred up that didn't stay chunks would recoagulate within like a day, and it just was not good. And I talked with them about it, and of course Martin and Renee were super cool, as they always are. Anyway, if you do get a bottle like that, you're not crazy. Don't let anybody tell you that you just don't know how to stir paint. Anyway, when I went to shake it up, yeah, this happened. This is my little vortex mixer that I bought for like 50 bucks off of Amazon. And when I initially bought it, I hated it because I couldn't find the sweet spot, because you got to press the bottle down on top of this condom looking thing. Well, actually, I don't know if that's a condom looking thing. I don't know who wears a condom that looks like that. But anyway, you had to press down on this and it would kick the switch and it would start doing its gyrations. Once I figured out how to get it going, it became indispensable. You know, with a little stainless steel ball in the bottom of one of these MRP bottles, works great. But yeah, it's been acting weird, and today it would not come on at all, and yep, figured out why. The whole motor and vibrator came from together. Entropy in action, folks. Yeah, that and just piss poor product design. That should have been built with some heavier wall sections at a minimum, some very generous radii, because all of those sharp corners in there are lovely stress concentrations, which just about any second year mechanical engineering student would have pointed out. And then instead of being molded in whatever this is, probably ABS, should have been like glass-filled nylon or something really strong. But hey, I guess that's why it's only $60 and why it is now in the trash can. So yeah, that's that. The other thing that's been happening with my Ava bust painting project is me struggling with this wet palette. Now, this wet palette, let me get where's the lid? Because I can't remember who makes this one. I don't know if it's molded into the lid or not. Yes, it is. The Army Painter. I got this from Danielle and Rudy down at Lionheart Hobby in Austin. And I know you can make your own wet palette, whatever, I ain't got time for that. But this thing, as the functions go, is great. This compartment here in the top is for all of the spare stuff they send you, which honestly is one of the reasons that I bought it, because yeah, just like I don't want to make my own from scratch, I don't want to cut out my own sponges. Here's a spare. And I don't want to have to cut out my own pieces of parchment paper. And here they go. Here you go. A whole envelope full of them. So that is really a good product in my opinion. Now, if I could just figure out how to use the damn thing properly, I struggle with knowing how to get it right and have enough water in it. This is my third time. The other two times were an absolute swampy mess. I just had too much water in there, and what I did up here in the corner very soon ended up all over the place. But this has gone better. And basically, somebody on SMCG, when I was whining about this, told me, look, just get the sponge soaked, then dump all the water out once you know the sponge is saturated, and then just smooth your parchment paper over the top of it. And that seems to have worked pretty good. Where the paint here is thicker, it seems to have stayed liquid. I don't know. It's still kind of goopy. I don't know if it's really usable, but with a little bit of water there, it would probably be fine. And what I've been using here is mostly Mission models, which I like because number one, it's what I have, even though the coverage is a bit inconsistent. But the other thing that I like about it is that I can remove my mistakes with the 409 trick, and I keep this here handy both for that and for cleaning my brush after I've done the bulk of the cleaning with IPA. And it occurred to me that one of the reasons why the 409 trick works is because I don't use the poly with the Mission models. I threw that shit away a long time ago. And so that's probably why that works so easily. It does not work with all acrylics. In fact, I'm also using some of the MRP acrylics that are sometime going to be available. And these are great paints. But I have to do a little more scrubbing with 409 to get this off. It doesn't just wash off with a soft brush and some 409. And in those cases, what I'll often do is I'll use one of these. These things are so good. This is, I get these from Annie's, from Tom Annie's. He sells these precision cotton buds, and for stuff like removing paint in a very precise way, these are fantastic. So yeah, get you some of those too. Anyway, that's that. And this brush continues to impress the shit out of me. It's great. It holds a really nice, sharp point, and whatever success I've had so far has been at least in part credited to this thing right here. So that's been good. If you don't pay attention to my silly nonsense, you may not know I released a video about a week ago concluding a test that I did with this thing. The video is called "The Only Good Reason to Gloss Before Decals." And no, I have not changed my basic position that if you're glossing prior to decals in order to prevent or even reduce silvering, you are most likely wasting your time. No one has ever proven that it does anything to prevent or reduce silvering, and never will. And the evidence just, piles up on the daily that surface finish and silvering are not connected. But that's not what this video was about. This video was about the color shift that can take place if you put a decal directly on the paint and then shoot a hot clear lacquer, as I often do, directly on top of it. A number of users have seen this issue, and my theory was always that the solvent action of the lacquer thinner in this clear coat was basically dissolving some of the color coat down into the primer everywhere it was directly on the paint, but the paint was protected by the clear decal carrier film, and so it stayed looking like it started with, and you get this thing that we call a color shift. So that's what this video is all about, but I do cover all of the decal things. I kind of sort of had to. So anyway, you might check that out. One thing I'm going to try, because I think you certainly could do if this happens to you, is to come back in with some fine airbrush work and fix that with your original color. Anyway, so that's that. And here is what's what. I think I'm gonna build this. I've had this kit for a while. I got a pretty good deal on it because it had a dent in the box, but I have not even opened this box. And so, I've just been thinking a lot about it. I've even got one picked out that I think I want to do. I'm fascinated by this kit because everybody has had such good things to say about it, and I kind of just want to have the experience. If you listen to the Sprue Cutters Union podcast, you might know that we interviewed Richard Alexander and the designer who did this kit. They are former Wingnut Wings guys, and this thing has been reviewed to death, so I'm not going to go through and do all that. I'll do the usual two-part build review thing if I follow through with this, but I am excited about it. I think it's going to be fun to build. It appeals to me because I need to get back to building stuff. It's just been too long, and this might be a good way to do it. Something that's got relatively few parts that goes together easily and in a fun way, and gives me the opportunity to do a bunch of painting that will be cool. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. This thing is pretty neat. One of the sort of high level things, and we talked about this in the interview with them, is that they took advantage of the natural thing that causes sink marks in plastic injection molding to sort of create the look that you would get when a thin aluminum skin is riveted to a spar or a rib in a wing structure. And if I can get this bag open, we'll take a look. We might even get to see it. It's something that I've been wanting to look at firsthand because it really honestly is genius. It's kind of next level thoughtfulness in design. I don't really see much of it, but what they were attempting to do was make sure that they had sort of a linear sink all along these panel lines or anywhere that there was going to be a stiffener. And you can see it just a little bit if the light is right. I'm not sure. Here, let me get the camera down here better. Maybe we can see it that way on camera. You can sort of see it's a little smoother, and what that is you can see where each one of those intersecting ribs is. What causes, one of the things, the main thing that causes sink marks is when you have an intersecting rib with an outside surface that's too thick. And there are rules, and it's different for different polymers, like ABS and polystyrene have different rules, but there's typically a ratio. Like an intersecting rib can only be 1/2 as thick as the outside wall. And that's what's supposed to help you not have that volumetric shrinkage at the intersection. Some of it also comes down to the way that the tool is run, but it starts with design. And they purposefully took advantage of that to try and get that sort of wavy appearance. I don't really see it, to be honest. But nonetheless, the fact that they were even thinking like that is just a level of how they approached this whole project. And so I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is going to be fun. Anyway, that's it. That's enough of the randoms. We'll see you later.